was just going to say, I must admit that's one of my pet hates. One of my favourite things. I mean, I love drawing action and big things, but it is the interaction between characters and how they act, like Andy's saying, because it's essentially, for the people that are artists as well, you know, it's the difference between your ability to do that and empathise with the character as an artist and draw them acting appropriately is the difference between, you know, watching a really badly acted film, which no one wants to do, or a film with really good actors that are on the money and are engaging you in their performance. And as an artist, you know, whatever level, however cartoony, however dramatic or simple or whatever, you know, it is, you know, that's got to be your primary goal. And it all comes back, it doesn't matter how well you draw, how well you write, it's the story and how is it functioning and serving the story, because that's all the reader is going to experience, you know, when they look at this thing, whatever it is you're doing. Yeah. And I can't stress enough and how learn to act, and it's your ability to empathise. I think as an artist, I'm sure as a writer as well, but it's, you know, it's your ability to put yourself in that position and you know, act appropriately.
Yeah, I think I've actually contemplated taking acting classes myself, just as a way of getting inside the heads of characters and so on. I think it could probably help a writer, I think, to take acting classes. So I think it would certainly help artists.
This panel could have been done in the form of a play.
There you go. I might actually remember my line.
One thing which I think completely misses the point is, and it often comes from people trying to break in, is they might have an image and they might put it on a website and it'll say jimmysmith.com across the middle, and like, if anyone does it, I'm sorry, but I mean, you know, you're a fool if you do that. You know, you really are, because you know, someone's probably not going to nick it anyway. You know, B, if they do, I'm a great believer in the phenomenon how when you create something, it can permeate the world at large, and how, you know, it's your ability to kind of like do what you do well, and it will kind of spill out, and you know, it's kind of like they say like pirating music is killing music. You know, it's sort of not, and MySpace is going to prove that actually if you give stuff away for free and people like it, that actually generates a sort of, you know, an interest and an energy and whatever it is about, you know. So copywriting is often, I think, a worry of you know, you don't have to worry about it.
If you write something in British law, you own it, all right? It's that simple. You don't have to do anything. You wrote it, you own it.
And again, you know, put your energy into the craft of you doing it, and all that other stuff. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's been cases, obviously, where something, you know, has happened that's really sort of unfair and unjust and whatever. But you know, as a general rule, I think just you know, concentrate on your craft. You know.
It's like, you know, in Hollywood, but writers tend to be very paranoid about people stealing their ideas and stealing their scripts. But the fact is, you know, like, nobody's going to make, you know, movies cost millions of dollars to make. No one's going to steal an idea or steal a script, pass it off as their own, and then spend millions of dollars making it when they're wide open to being sued. You know, that would be crazy. So no, it's much cheaper and easier for them to just buy the damn thing. You know, so really don't worry about it.
And also, in the comics industry is a really nice industry. Everyone knows each other. You know, if someone tries to be a bit sneaky, you know, someone will know and someone will pick it up and
it's a very small world.
Have you seen this? And it just won't wash, you know. And by the way, one of the reasons for not putting jimmysmith.com is because if it's an image, you've got to show it off to its best potential. Don't put jimmysmith.com. If Jim's in the room, I really do apologise.
Yeah, it's the cliche, but everybody in comics is super nice, as we've proved this weekend at Thought Bubble. But I think, in my experience, it's always the guys who are at the top of their game in comics. You know, the Dave Gibbonses and the Jim Lees. When you meet them, always the nicest, humblest, most self-effacing people, and the real assholes who think that they're God's gift. They're the guys who actually never get any good and never make it. And I think the reason for this is you need a degree of humility in order to get good at your craft. You know, I think if you think you're brilliant and you never make any mistakes, then you're never going to learn from your mistakes. And the only way you can learn is from your mistakes. That's why I keep saying just go out and do it. You get good by doing it. You know, and you need to be able to listen to criticism, hear criticism, and process it. Honestly, you might not like it, you might not even agree with it, but you've got to be able to hear it. And process and make up your own mind whether or not there's, you know, that you've got something to learn there, because that's you know, that's how everybody got good in the first place.
That's always one of my that I learned working with you actually is is the actual when you are professionally writing, your ability to edit yourself and get rid of stuff. And I think perhaps, certainly, I've never really written. It's something that interests me in the future. But I think your first go-to point would be once you've written it, Ace, I've done it. And of course, I think the real trick is being able to, Ace, I've done it. Right, chuck it up, throw it away, redo it, hone it down like you've been saying, and that's a fundamental character ability, I think, perhaps to be able to do that to yourself, to be able to. It's the same with that as well. To be able to sort of move it around, and is that fair to say?
Yeah,
to edit yourself is the hardest thing, really.
At the same time, you can take it too far. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I'm never happy with anything I've written. I usually hate everything I've done. But there comes to a point where it's fit for purpose. It'll do. You can't. One thing I find very common with guys who are pitching for 2000 and stuff like that is that they've got one pet story that they've been honing for like the past 10 years, and it's their pet project, and they just want something to publish it. And I would very, very strongly recommend against that. You know what? Do something, learn from your mistakes, move on, do the next thing. Do the next thing. Just keep moving forward. It's the guys who are just obsessively, like turning over the soil on their one little pet project, that they're never going to get anywhere. Okay, you've got to learn to just let it go. Move on, learn, let it go.
Remember you said to me not long after I first met you, actually, that a good writer should have 10 ideas a day. Now, I still think you're being
I don't.
slightly ambitious, but again, it's that mind state of always moving and being fluid, that I think, and your ability to sort of go with the ebbs and flows and
Yeah, in terms of we're talking about being likable and working with other people and so on. There's another famous, I can't remember who said this, but in comics, I'm talking about if you're working in mainstream comics, for a company. If you're doing your own thing, you can do what you want. But in terms of working for the majors, they said, what was it? You can be, good, fast, or likable. Pick two.
that may sound, but it's the same for artists as well. If you're quick and reliable but not great, no, hang on. If you're quick and they like you, you'll probably get work because you'll be easy to work with. If you're quick and what was it? Hang on, what was the other one? It works
good,
anyway.
Fast, or likable.
Yeah. So yeah,
two. If you've only got one of those things, that's not enough. You need two.
Good.
If you're all three, then you're Jim Lee.
Yeah, but it works. It sounds really simple and kind of like, surely that's not right, but generally in the comic that is right, because there is always your ability to be work with people.
Yeah, because there's another important thing. It's weird because on the one hand, obviously it's a collaborative medium. Maybe some of you are writer, artists, letterers, and you can compose your own soundtrack and the thing. That's great, but I can't draw. So for those of us who can't draw, it's a collaborative medium. So there is give and take. You can't always have your own way, especially when working with an artist. And you've got to learn to take the rough with the smooth and compromise. Hopefully without compromising your artistic vision too much. But at the same time, even though it's collaborative, it's also quite a lonely thing to do because most of the time we're all just we're working alone at home. There's no office to go to. You don't have colleagues to hang out with. Just you're sitting alone in a room, and it's quite boring and it's quite lonely. Which is why it's always so nice to come to these conventions, because then you actually get to meet the people you're collaborating with and hang out. The only time we ever see each other is when we're at conventions like this. So be aware, and if you're serious about doing it for a living, it can get a little boring and lonely, frankly.